Awesome. Good morning, everybody. It's Andrea Gribble from #SocialSchool4EDU. I can't believe it's May already, May 9th, right? 2018. It is crazy. Melissa, when we started talking about this topic, it was like way out in May, and now it's already here. So thanks for joining us. Melissa is awesome. She is a district communication specialist, and she's going to be dishing all about school PR and making connections that count. And whether you're brand new to school PR or you've been around a little bit, but you're looking for just strategies to get connected, this is going to be a great webinar. And I see it's somebody's 28th birthday today, which is awesome, from Florida. Christina, welcome, from New Hampshire. Dawn is here from Bayshore School District. Stephanie from Missouri. Yeah, she's from Missouri. She knows Melissa. She knows how awesome she is. So let me keep getting started into this. As a reminder, all of our slides today and a recording are going to be sent to you via email. Hopefully it's going to be later today, but for sure by tomorrow, you will get all the slides, all the recordings. If Melissa refers to anything specific, we like to give you links to everything so that it makes it easy. Because guess what? We know that you have enough to do, but we want to try to make this easy. If you're on Twitter, please make sure to grab that phone, especially it's probably your lunch hour. Hopefully you're trying to get something to eat here quick. At EdTechMac is Melissa's handle. I'm at Andrea Gribble. If you can throw in a #SocialSchool4EDU, let people know that we are talking all about school PR. #SchoolPR is another great hashtag to use. Should have thrown that on there. But if you're on Twitter, share that you're here. Share some wisdom, like some knowledge that you're getting out of this. I mean, she's going to drop a lot today, and putting it out on Twitter is a great way to actually remember it and kind of refer back to it later. Now, as we get started, you, Carol, who just joined us from Greenfield School District, hello, you are in the right place if these kind of words relate to you. Cooperation, connecting, communicating, enlisting, integrating. We are better together. And, we definitely, each of us, like Melissa, like Brian, who I know is on from Wisconsin, sometimes you're a one-person school PR shop, or you're not even a school PR official person. You're like the district secretary who ends up doing some of the communications efforts. Sometimes we can feel like we're on an island, but we are so much better together. And if you believe in that, you are in the right place, because Melissa's going to drop a lot of knowledge. You are definitely in the wrong place if you think you already have all the answers and you look like this guy and like, I know everything there is to know about school communications, about school social media, about, websites. If you know everything, then just jump off right now. Somebody's saying, yeah, definitely, that's not me. I've learned a ton and I like to share it with you. But if that is you, just jump off right now, because this one is for you. Now, I want to share a little bit of history on my school PR story. Just real quick, we'll get to Melissa, and then we'll be able to wrap up. If you have questions along the way, don't be afraid to chat those in the chat bar. But I was pretty new to social media and school PR back in 2014 when I started this business. And I got in on Twitter, and then I purchased this awesome book called Embracing Social Media. And it was my, I just purchased it, and I decided to throw it out on Twitter. And of course, I tagged Kristen Majette. She's the author of it, she just came out with her second edition of this book. Hello, people. You need a guide, that's the guide, and she's your person, because she is so down to earth, real pro there. So I tweeted it out, and within, I'm guessing, probably 15 minutes, I had a tweet back, and so this was back on July 10th, 2015, and Kristen tweeted me back, and Nashville was going to be actually the NSPRA 2015 National Conference, which, again, I'm sure Melissa's going to talk about. But she was asking, will I be there? And she says, would love to meet you IRL. Guys, I was so new to Twitter, I didn't even know what IRL meant. I'm like, dude, I have to look this up or ask my kids or something. But it means in real life. I did not get to meet her at Nashville in real life in 2015, but I did get to meet her in Chicago in 2016 at NSPRA. And I'm so lucky. I'm going to be seeing her again and seeing her present, spending a whole day with her in July of 2018 in California. But this all started with just a tweet and just saying, hey, and it's amazing. Social media, sometimes people say, it's getting us further apart. I call BS on that because it has brought me together with all these leaders in the school PR world. And I am very, very blessed and lucky to have her as a mentor, to have her as a friend. And she just continues to do great work. So just a little about me. I'm your host, Andrea. I have 6 kids, 4th grade up to a senior who's graduating in a couple weeks. It's crazy. Our company, Social School for EDU, we've actually shared over 100,000 posts we right now partner with 56 school districts across the country to help tell their story. And we are all about helping schools create awesome social media. We don't think it should be just okay. We think it should be awesome. And so we do that in a lot of different ways. The growth of our company has been awesome. I started out with just one little school district of 300 kids. And that's where my daughters go to school. Back in 2014, now we're up to 56, kind of across the country. And we serve schools from small, 300 kids, up to big, over 8,000 students. And so we really serve them in a lot of ways. And our mission is we want to help celebrate students and connect communities. Social media is really my game. Melissa's going to talk even more than just social media. But when we think about social media, it's really about celebrating your school, one story at a time, one moment, one video, one piece of artwork, all of that, just one story at a time and doing it consistently well. Hopefully you've been tuned in to all the great stuff we offer at Social School for EDU. We do a free webinar. We do blogs. I have over 200 articles on my website. We have some Facebook posts. You should follow us there. And then for business, we do social media management, where we manage social media for schools. We have an incredible coaching program that involves a half an hour of your time every month. We're holding you accountable. We're measuring. I had 2 calls yesterday, and I'm so excited to watch these people just flourish. So that coaching program is so affordable. We also have awesome graphics packages. If you're not a graphic designer, we can help you out. At the end of this, I'm going to share a little bit of information about our one paid event that we have each year, and that is our summer camp event that's happening June 26th and 27th. So I'll share a little bit more after Melissa wraps up, but I'm really excited because that, again, helps you make those connections and get some great professional development delivered right to your desk. We're kind of all over the country. You can see a lot in Wisconsin and Minnesota, hence my accent, right? That's where I'm from. But we even help schools beyond. So we can help all 50 states and even up into Canada. We can serve you. And we help, like I said, help schools create awesome social media. I have an incredible team of over 24 women that partner with these schools, and we have learned a lot, especially since all these new Facebook algorithm updates, right? Really learned a lot about what works well for schools. So without further ado, I'm going to get ready to turn it over to Melissa. Melissa is the district communications specialist in Belton School District in Missouri, but she lives in Kansas, right? I think right across the way. She's been in education over 20 years, but she's fairly new to the school PR world. I'm sure she's going to share a little bit more about that, but she's a one-person school PR shop, as many of you are. Mom to 2 very clever girls, very proud wife of cancer survivor. I call her hashtag K12 PR chat guru, which I would think that she is obviously going to be able to talk about today. So Melissa, I'm going to pass the presenter role over to you. And then I'm also going to have to, maybe you can unmute yourself. I'm not sure. Let me just play around with this. Hang on. Make sure you unmute yourself, but just one second here. I
have the right.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I think I need to switch to my other screen though. So hang on one second.
Awesome. And people are calling you a GIF guru too.
I know, and you know what I was thinking? I hope I don't disappoint everyone, but with the tool I use, there won't be GIFs in this. I'm like, all right, I need to present that I'm professional too. All right. Thank you, Andrea. I'm really excited to share today, and what I really hope is everyone can do 3 things. Remember 3 words: take, make, and stake. I hope you take a moment to reflect on if this is your first year or your current year. I hope you can make a connection with something you already do in what I'm sharing, and I hope you can stake a claim to something you haven't done and you promise to give it a try. First thing I'm going to do is tell you a little bit about who we are, and we are Belton. We're just south of Kansas City on the Missouri side. It's a suburban and somewhat rural district. We have 4,800 students who range from in 10 different schools, pre-K all the way up to 12th grade, and we do have an alternative kind of day treatment facility school. We have about 650 staff, and we also contract out our transportation and cafeteria services, so that number doesn't include those. And the city itself has about 23,000 people.
Hey, Melissa?
Yes.
Can you enable your camera, or maybe just have a...
That?
There we
no,
go.
That's me, though.
I can
you see
now.
My screen, though?
Yes, we can still see your screen, and you're just a little bubble over the side.
Okay.
So thank you.
Well, you can see my lovely headphones, people. I forgot my earbuds today, so I had to bring my daughter's Teal's headphones.
Rocking it.
All right. So as long as you can still see my screen. Right. Let me go full screen here. There we go. No, we were right before.
I think we were just
there. We go.
That looks great.
Here we go. Let's talk to you about how I got here. I had connections that counted every day, and they were all just in different ways. I spent 15 years in this district as an elementary school librarian, and the 4 key things that I took from that position were research, reference, review, and relationships. I'm going to go into each of those. I spent 3 years in this district as an educational technology specialist just for our elementary schools, and we focused all, of course, on technology, but I learned a lot about time management. I learned a lot about tools and about tact. You know, technology, when it comes to people, that there are many different learning levels, and so I'll talk more about that as well. And right now I'm in my 3rd year as a communication specialist, and so of course writing is a big part of it, but I do a lot of watching, we do some weathering, and about being well. So we're going to start with research. In 2015, I approached our superintendent about starting a position in the school PR for our district. At the time, it was currently his secretary who was doing the position, and she was having her first baby and decided that she maybe wanted to not have as many commitments outside her other duties as the superintendent's secretary. So it turned into the position that I currently have now. I found out in April that it was going to start, and so then I was like, okay, now what? So as a researcher, I was a high school and college debater, and as a librarian, being a part of professional learning communities and schools, I knew that I had to do some research to get started. So the first place I went was Google, and I Googled terms like school public relations, school communications, school climate, school culture. I Googled social media in schools, and I just read and I read and I read constantly for probably about 2 to 3 months before I started the position, and it really helped me get an idea of what that there kind of was this whole world out there. I really didn't even know that it existed. I did the same thing with podcasts. It was summer, and so we were doing a lot of traveling. So again, I did that searching. I did keyword searches for those same terms, school public relations, school communications. And I'll go more into the podcasts I listen to and the ideas I get from those. And those podcasts, while we're listening to them on vacation, and some of my keyword searches led me to realize that I wonder if there's an association for this. I saw names popping up. I saw organizations popping up. I had been a part of MASL, which is the Missouri Association of School Librarians. I had been a part of ISTE, which is an international technology group. And I'm like, I wonder if there's an organization, and boom, NSPRA pops up, which is the National School Public Relations Association. And they happen to be having a conference in Nashville. And I'll be honest, I actually considered on our vacation telling my husband to take a detour so I could go and check it out to see what it was all about, because I was so hungry to learn what I could do to best move into this position. But that didn't happen, so ultimately I ended up on Twitter. And Twitter is where I've been anyway, because I'm ed tech. That's kind of where we live, and I know the value of it in learning and creating a professional learning community there and being able to share. So the first name that, of course, popped up is one that Andrea already mentioned, and that was Krista Majette. Her book's in the top right corner of that picture, and you notice all those blue and pink tabs. I have that book so marked up and so highlighted that it is basically kind of a Bible for me getting started on what I needed to know. And I'm so excited the second edition is coming out, because she's added some new pieces that I can't wait to see what's new and what I need to be able to do. Austin Kleon is the other one. I see somebody mentions Joe Sanfilippo. Isn't he incredible? I'll talk about him first and Tony Sinanis. Their book's in the bottom left corner, The Power of Branding. And anytime principals and superintendents see the value in telling your story and the power of branding, that was a light bulb moment for me. I'd followed Tony and Joe on Twitter for some time, and they were kind of big in the ed tech world too, because they were so willing to communicate and keep those doors open, that I knew that that was a book I needed to read, and those were two people I needed to follow. But I'll go back to the second one, Austin Kleon, his book, Show Your Work, in the bottom right corner. It was a quick read, and it was a great read, but the part that resonates with me the most, and if I hold it up, you can see it's right here, and it's even got the little bookmark. It's a page where it's called Identify Your Fellow Knuckleballers. And I know nothing about baseball, but apparently a knuckleball is pretty challenging to throw. And so he said it's kind of a small community of people. So I wanted to read to you how much this resonated with me. And it's something I still read. I probably need to print it and put it in a quote. As you put yourself and your work out there, you will run into your fellow knuckleballers. These are your real peers, the people who share your obsessions, people who share a similar mission to your own, the people with whom you share a mutual respect. There will be only a handful or so of them, but they're so, so important. Do what you can to nurture your relationships with these people. Sing their praises to the universe. Invite them to collaborate. Show them work before you show anybody else. Call them on the phone and share your secrets. Keep them as close as you can. And I can honestly say, after being in school PR for almost 3 years now, I have those people. I have my knuckleballers, and a lot of people I can see in this list of who's watching and listening. You are my knuckleballers. Reference. You kind of need to do a reference. And when I was in the library, I was a reference librarian, even at the elementary level, as people needed to come to me and ask random questions. I needed to be familiar with a little about a lot. And it's the same way in school PR. You need to see what you already know. Your board policies. Again, get in there and search. Type in communications, type in directory information, type in social media, the word media, type in the word branding, type in the word engagement. What in board policies directly is impacting your work that you need to know and you need to be familiar with? It's worth taking the time to do. Same thing with student handbooks. Do those searches and see where it's mentioned in the handbooks so you're not caught off guard at some moment. With the departments, are you familiar with all the departments, the organizational charts, who you need to get to know? Another big one is the school boundaries. Especially if you're new to a district, you really need to know the school boundaries and also the history. So have the boundaries always been this way? How often have they changed? How much has that impacted your community? Is it a hot button issue? Because if you ever need to change those boundaries, having that history and knowing kind of the historical background of your district can really make an impact on the way you write communications should something change in the future. Copyright, of course, that's big for librarians, but it's something we need to be aware of as well. Directory information. What is your policy? How is it published? I actually worked with our student information coordinator. So any student who's not to be included in directory information, when you type in their name, there's a little picture of a camera on their screen. So immediately someone will know, okay, it's not okay to take this kid's picture. But we actually are an opt-out district. And I'll tell you, that has really changed our life in terms of being able to communicate effectively with others and being able to get kids' pictures out there. Cameras may seem like a strange thing here, but I'll be honest, that's one of my weaknesses. Is I inherited a camera when I came into this position, but I didn't know a lot about it. So I needed to know what camera we had, or do we have other cameras in the district? Do buildings have one? How can I stay in touch and make sure that I have the best camera to be able to do what I need to do? Or can I get along with just my phone sometimes? It's kind of being familiar with what you have. Facebook groups, good, bad, and the ugly. The rant and rave groups, which ones do you have in your community? Are there community groups that are positive? I actually have a separate Twitter or Facebook account. One's my personal one, and then I have one that's a professional one, because I really wanted to, one, separate my life and work balance, but also so people knew up front that it has my face and here's who I am. I don't post in any of those groups, but I join those groups, and it's easier for me to keep track of what's going on and know what's happening in my community if I'm a member of those groups. And then if there is a crisis or an emergency, I instantly can post. And if they look who I am, is be able to see, oh, she's the communications person for the district. So that immediately the face and the name, there's nothing posted on that profile, but if I would need to post in those kind of groups, they know instantly that's who I am. Whereas if it were my personal Facebook page, it would muddy the waters. Let's see, someone can't hear anything. Hopefully we can help you out there. And then the last one is Urban Dictionary. Honestly, I have the app and I visit the website. Anytime we want to start using a new acronym in the district, anytime we want to use basically any new words to do things, I always go to Urban Dictionary first to see, or snow day tweets. I know when Andrea mentioned she didn't know what IRL was, I totally get it. It really helped me familiarize myself with things, especially when it comes to snow day tweets, and kids might be using language that I'm not familiar with, or I have 2 teenagers in the house, I always could ask them, but Urban Dictionary always comes through in a pinch. I actually just used it yesterday with someone. Review your inventory. I'm not talking about physical things, but what you have. Oh yeah, snow day, hurricane week, I totally get that. I used to live in North Carolina. What do I have? You need to take an inventory. Communications. Do you have a communications plan? We really didn't. And so it's still an ongoing process for me to figure out how to write one, how to do it well, an overall one, or if I write one just for a certain scenario, I'll admit that my guilty part is I kind of tend to have them more in my head, and getting them on paper, especially as one-person shop, gets to be a challenge. But it's definitely something you need to do. What products do you currently have? We use Blackboard. If we've used Constant Contact in the past, but I moved away from them and I'm starting to use S'more. We have a district app, and I use these graphics here to show you. The top one is new for us because we are using Blackboard now, and the bottom one was the visual of the old app we used, where we used a separate company for our website and a separate company for our app and a separate company for our mass notifications. And as a one-person shop, that became very cumbersome for me. So I wanted to consolidate, and so first I did the research and reviewed what we had, and then decided the direction we needed to take going forward, and bundled as much as we could. So it really helped me along the way. The next thing would be productions. What things have you always done as a district? We have a calendar we do every year. Do you have a YouTube channel? What kind of videos? Are there certain things your community comes to expect from the communications department that's done? So please make sure you take that into consideration. Your website, take a look at your analytics, see what's there and see where your biggest hits are. You need to go in one day with a perspective that you're a parent looking for something. How many clicks does it take you to get there? Go in then next as a student. What might a student look for? Our analytics actually showed us that parents are going there for menus, calendars, and contact information. So now go in like an employee. What might they be looking for? So it's really important to take all of those into account when you look at your website. Your social presence, think about where you are. We were only on Twitter and Facebook at the time. We did have a LinkedIn account, but it really wasn't managed or monitored by anyone. So now that's something I'm actively involved in. And it's just a matter of reviewing what's there and what's been done so you can see if you need to take a change in direction. Your Google SEO. Search engine optimization. Where does your school district pop up when you type in your name on Google? Hopefully it's the first few, either your district or your schools pop up, but chances are Wikipedia is there. Are you logged in and have an account to manage your school district on Wikipedia? It's important to look into and think about doing. Then you,
Melissa?
Yes.
Melissa, question. I'll just kind of raise my hand, but
Yes.
you said for your website, it was menus, calendars. Parents were looking for menus, calendars, and
contact information, like how to contact a teacher or how to contact someone at the district office. And that was just our analytics showed us those are the pages being clicked on the most. Yeah.
Okay. And I think that probably matches a lot of our school districts. And so that's really something to take away from for all of you folks when you're looking at that menus, calendars, and contact information. I know I try to, I'm obviously contacting schools, and sometimes it can be so frustrating trying to find the right contact information.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's constantly having to revisit it and see what it is. I'm actually doing more of an inventory on it, trying to decide about retooling ours more as a recruiting tool, knowing that our parents and kids are really only going there for those three things. How can I retool the site for a potential family? How can I retool the site for a potential employee? That it really helps to get into those neck of the woods to see what you might need to change as well.
Right.
Your phone lists. It might seem something strange, but do you have a cell phone list for everyone who has a district-provided cell phone in the district? It's a great resource for us. Do you have a list of all the extensions? Do you have a list of every building's phone number? It's really something, even with community numbers. We have a one-page document that's shared out to all the secretaries and administrators that has all of that information at the drop of a hat. Exterior and interior audits. I actually got this idea from Carla in Canada, who's one of our favorite people. She has her buildings, or she and her department do an audit of when you walk up to a building, how inviting is it? What do you see? What do you feel? What about the culture and climate? And then when you go inside, kind of how are you greeted? What kind of things go on? It's a great tool, and that's something I can share in the links that we can have so you guys can get an idea of what that looks like too. That really leads into culture and climate, customer service when it talks about culture and climate, because we actually have a day on, definitely accessibility. We do a day on our calendar that's not actually a meet day. It's actually a day where our staff do professional development online. And so they have 7 hours. So we do modules in our learning management system. And the ones I do for secretaries revolve around customer service. So they write plans for how people should be greeted when they come to the building. It teaches them how to use Blackboard or communication system. It teaches them how to load items to Peachjar, which is something else I'll talk more about soon too. But it's been a great resource for our secretaries to have that ability. Budgets, kind of just be aware, what is your budget? What do you have? What might you need to ask for? We learned that by bundling several things, we saved a lot of money, and that might be something you want to look into that would help your department as well. Our strategic plan and our mission statements, again, just like I've always talked about, you need to be doing searches of these and finding what words tie into communications and what maybe responsibilities you have and what will directly or indirectly have an impact on the communications department. So you need to make sure you're keeping up with all of those. And then finally, logos and mascots. Do you have one? Do you have two? Do you have actually decent copies of them? The struggle we're in right now, we're actually going through a rebranding process. We have about 17 different pirates, and we call it the Bee with the Swords, floating around, but none of them are really high quality and vector images. So it's been really difficult for us to share, to communicate, to say, hey, here's the way it should look. Here's what it does look like. So I'm really excited. We'll have a terms of use at the end of this project. We're going to have style guides, and we're going to have, here are the colors you can use. It's really valuable for you to investigate and go through that type of process. But make sure you involve your community in on it, because there are a lot of things that can go wrong. Next one is relationships. Relationships matter probably more than anything, but it's all about who you know. I'm very fortunate, this being my 21st year in the district, is that I can name each one of the people in these pictures, tell you the building they work in, and tell you what their job title is. It gets a little harder now that I'm out of the buildings as new staff come on, but I try to take their pictures often to be sure that I can familiarize myself with them. But the primary ones on this list are going to be your secretaries and administrators when it comes to emergencies. Let's say there's an emergency that happens at the high school. I make sure that all the secretaries, one at central office know, because you don't know who's going to pick up the phone, and the secretaries of the buildings know. Because if they can't get through the high school, chances are they're going to start dialing numbers down that list. And those secretaries need to be aware of what's happening. I also put custodians high on that list. We do so many events and planning around the district, making sure that they're comfortable with what our setup needs are. We're explicit about that. I probably should have included technology in on that as well, because we really have a good communication relationship with them to make sure both departments can give us what we need before we have an event. Your booster clubs and your PTO presidents, that's really going to be something that you want to give them some face time and get to know them, because they can become some of your biggest advocates as well. And finally, of course, I put in gold at bottom the teachers and the students. Those are the ones you want to build the relationships with. So it's not just Melissa McConnell who sends out all the emails and the snow days and the phone calls and posts to social media and takes all the pictures. It's I want to know more about them. So when it comes to sharing their story, it becomes a little more effortless. Technology. These are things I think are must-haves. Right now, if you're looking at me, you're probably seeing I'm looking over here because I've got 2 computer screens. I do have a laptop. It's a must-have, of course, because I've got to be able to take it with me. But I also have a dual screen, so I can be working on one thing and have another screen open. You need to make sure, if your department doesn't have that now, that that's something you have. Even 3 screens, if that's possible, is even better. You need to have a decent camera. Big weakness of mine. A phone with storage. I can say 90% of the things on my phone are probably pictures and videos of not my family. But you need to make sure that it has enough storage for you to be able to do that. A portable charger. I have one by Anker, A-N-K-E-R, and it was about $40, but it was worth every penny, and it goes with me wherever I go. If it were in a pinch, so I have something to be able to charge my phone, and I budgeted for it. So it was not something I bought myself. I figured it was an essential part of this department that we had portable chargers available to us. Cables, of course, are the next thing. I have backup cables for my laptop, backup cables for audio, backup cables kind of for everything that I would need. So when I'm going to present that I don't run out, or I don't have it, or if the place I'm going doesn't have it, that it really helps. An external hard drive, definitely. We're lucky enough that we have a local photographer who does all of our school photography, and so he always sends me actual copies of all of our students and our staff when they have their school pictures taken. Normally that process would take me forever to either, one, I don't have a CD drive on this, so I could get the CD from the tech department and load it, but then I'd have to get an external CD drive and put it in, and then do I store it on my computer? No, so I got the external hard drive because he sends them to me digitally now. I don't have to download them one by one from our student information system. I have an instant file that has all of them. And so the external hard drive's been a big bonus for that. 2 of the things that, one I have, and I need to learn how to use more, is the lavalier mic. And then the last one is the gimbal, which I need to do some more research on. But apparently, if you're going Facebook Live or you're doing some other kind of video, it is kind of a gyroscope of sorts that will help balance everything you're doing. So if you're walking and taking a video, it's not crazy, jumpy all over the place. But that I've added to my to-do list for sure. Time management, let's be truthful here. I know many of you probably know I'm a one-person shop. I talked about all of those things that are who I serve, and so how you do it. You have to ask for help, internally, externally, however you can get it. You have to keep a decent calendar. I have a Google Calendar set up for each school, and they all the buildings all put items on there, but that's basically how I know what's going on in every building. If I don't see it on the calendar and I hear about it, they hear about it from me. Write a communications plan. Again, that is an ongoing thing that takes a lot of work and a lot of time, but it's well worth the effort and gives you some guidance to go through your year. And then the last one is learning to say no. Not to be negative in any format at all, but it's a matter of you need to know when your busy time is. If you're on Twitter, you may have seen a great share from Leslie Brewington in Tuscaloosa last week or a couple weeks ago about how she put up chart paper in an administrative meeting and had everyone write down any event that's going to need some type of tie to the communications office. And I'm like, yeah, we're so doing that. And I'll include the link to her series of tweets where she went into how that worked for her. But it sounded like it was very impactful and keeps you organized. Yes.
I got a question, because this is something that comes up a lot as far as asking for help. And, you have a big district, and there's even some smaller districts than you that might have 2,200 kids or
Sure.
even 700 kids, and you're one person. But
Mm-hmm.
in some cases, like you were brand new to this role. So some people might say, well, that's your job. Like, you're the school communications person, that's your job. So can you just share off the cuff some ways that you were able to ask for help and build those relationships to get the help to help you be successful?
Absolutely. We had about 10 extra cameras that they at some point had, and we had in the past communications people kind of at each building. They got a stipend, but they took that position away for budget cuts. So I took the cameras back. I said, why are they sitting here? So I just went into each building. And again, I had those relationships where I kind of knew someone. Actually, some was the librarians, because honestly, they have the most flexible schedule to be able to get around. Or it was one of the buildings, it's our counseling secretary. And I said, can you help me? At a big event, if I can't be there, can I count on you to take pictures and send them to me? And some of them said, I don't really have time. I'm not comfortable. Other ones are like, yes, how can I help? Asking for help. It's teachers, they have phones. They have iPads. It's just when you take pictures, think of me. Send them my way. I'll go in a little bit later how email is a great way that I stay in touch, and other ways I stay in touch with staff to get that help. Or our hashtag is a way I stay in touch to get help from people too, sometimes it's just a matter of asking. Some people, they don't know. They might say, yeah, it's your job. But when it's a big piece, or if it's a matter of just taking pictures and getting help in that sense, or for instance, yesterday we had our Chamber of Commerce meeting, and we were actually the host where it was time to give the state of the district. Well, during that time, it was also our graduation walks where our seniors go around to all of the elementary schools and they walk and pictures and video. And I'm like, I can't be in both places. So it was a definite, everybody's like, no brainer, we got this, we'll send it to you. That if they understand the mission and why we're doing what we're doing, and it's not just you saying, hey, go do it, I don't feel like it because I'm going to sit in my office, I think that's a big difference. Yes.
That's great tips. Thank you.
Yes. Here are tools. One thing I learned in ed tech, it's not always about the tools, but sometimes knowing what some tools are and how you can use them can end up being something of benefit. The big one for me is Google Keep. It's one I sing the praises of all the time. I love this tool because of so much I can do with it. I can make checklists. I can share the list with someone else. I can include photos in it. I can add reminders. It has an app. I can use it on my laptop. It has an extension where I can change the names of the color categories. Yes, Viewer 24, Google Keep and Canva, both lifesavers. Canva, that's how I created this presentation. Is all of it was with Canva. I got tired of the templates in Google Drive. I got tired of the PowerPoint. I don't use Microsoft Office even though we have it. But the creativity ability in Canva is second to none. Pocket is one I use as a Google extension, and then I have the app on my phone. If I'm reading or doing some research but I don't have time to finish it right then, I click add it to my Pocket, and then it's on my phone, and then when I'm sitting at soccer practice or in the parking lot, I can scroll through Pocket and read an article. If it's something I want to keep for later, then I can actually have it connected to Evernote where I can send it there and put it into my notebooks. Evernote is just a series of notebooks about everything. And I've had Evernote for probably since 2013 where I keep everything there in different folders for different categories. But it's my research hub. So it's always, I spend a lot more time there in the summer than I do during the regular school year. Blackboard, of course, whatever your mass communication tool is, it's going to be hopefully something you do live by. You want to make sure you find one you love. Granted, our key audience is our students and our families at the end on the end user side, but you also have to make sure you're finding a tool that you can embrace, especially as a one-person shop or as a no-person shop and you're a group people in a district using it. You want to find one that's easy for you and still gets the job done. Animoto, I'm actually going to pay for a subscription to that this year because it's so easy to create little videos on the fly. PicMonkey is one that's an app and a website. PicCollage is one a lot of teachers use, and it drives me nuts. I just don't think it looks very professional. PicMonkey I really like when I want to make collages. Like we do back to school collages where everybody sends their first day of school pictures, and then I put them together in a collage with maybe 7 or 8 pictures of students and then put those out there. PicMonkey's perfect for that. SurveyMonkey I won't see a lot about. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, but if you don't have a subscription, it has a lot more versatility than Google Forms does, which I love because it's free. But SurveyMonkey is when you need a professional survey with follow-up information and digging deep into that data, SurveyMonkey is well worth it. And then the last one is Little Hoots, which is an app. It's primarily designed for parents, but I love it because, as we know, kids say the darndest things. And sometimes teachers share their funny stories with us, and we want to be able to put that out for parents to see or put it on social or something, but it's not really graphically exciting just to put the text of the conversation. So if you use something like Little Hoots, you can have a conversation here where a little student said, am I going to Mrs. Penny's class today? And the teacher says, honey, we don't have a teacher here named Mrs. Penny. And the Gladden student, she said she could visually see the wheels turning in her head. She goes, no, wait, I mean Mrs. Quarter. Okay, it's just a great way. You can put little conversations, cute things. You can put pictures of kids. It can be touching. It can be funny. Oh, that Viewer 64 message anybody in here who uses Canva. The graphics were a weakness of mine too, but it becomes so easy with the drag and drop. We gotcha. We'll take care of you to make sure you can work through that. Tact. Oh, you notice the book I have in the background here, People I Want to Punch in the Face. The technology department gave me that when I switched to this job, and the pens were invisible ink because, granted, there are going to be days like that for sure. When I was in the library, I had a kid who said all kinds of random things. One kid said, do you have any Chinese books that teach you how to speak Spanish? No, sorry, but it's a matter of trying to be nice to them even though you don't want to be. Or it's like in our behavior things, it's can you do this even though you don't want to? You will often in this position get 25 people asking you the same question over and over again. And you're tired of it, but you always need to remember that it's the first time that person has asked. So you always need to be polite, be courteous, find the way to get it done correctly. One of the big things we've started to discourage our buildings doing is doing countdowns to summer. It's like, hey, it's only, 14 days left of school. Like, well, you know what? Some of these kids, this is the best part of their day. Is that really the message we want to send is that summer's almost here, where they don't come and they don't have their food security. They don't have the people who love them every day. It's all of those things. We want to make sure the t-shirts we're ordering have a message on there that's positive. It's not a t-shirt maybe that says, parents, tag your it. It's a t-shirt that says, we love you, we'll miss you, we can't wait to see you in August. Those are the messages we want to make sure we're continuing to send. Oh, writing, my favorite thing. I have a lot of things on this list, and I'm kind of just going to touch on a couple so we can get further along. Internal newsletters, I do one every week religiously, same day of the week, and it's on Tuesdays. I'll go more into that later, but it is, if you take nothing else away, it has become the most valuable thing, and I have the data to show it in our district that our teachers and staff appreciate. Graphs and charts, I use Canva for that. It doesn't have the complete flexibility I like, so actually I use Google Sheets to create some graphs, and I use Infogram, and the finance office superintendent is right next to me, and this is his dream, is that he's, all right, McConnell, can you make this for me today? Can you make this? You can kind of see him in the background, just making little charts and graphs to be able to communicate what we know the budget office needs to say. Being able to, that's a kind of writing and creating I didn't know that I would do, but it's fascinating. It's data, it's pieces, and it's how do we translate that and get that word out so everyone can understand. Crisis messaging. The thing I preach to my principals and my staff is if it's a possible dinner conversation, we need to communicate it to a family. It might be you're only sending a message to 5 kids because there were only 5 kids involved. It might be that there's one grade level at recess, something happened, you need to communicate with all the classes who were at recess. It might be the entire junior class was involved in something, so we need to communicate with that entire class. And it might be me helping write the message, but I may not be the one sending it. I may be helping a teacher send a message home to about 3 parents because of something that happened in the classroom, but I'm helping write that messaging. And I call it crisis because it is kind of a crisis for that teacher. They're not sure how to phrase it, how to get those words across, and that's a service I provide. And that's one of my favorite things to be able to do. The website, Section 508, and having everything ADA compliant really made me rethink it. I mentioned before how I'm really turning it into a recruiting tool, but it is an ongoing thing, learning how to write for that fashion, write to basically market and court people to our district has been an interesting and new form of writing that I'm excited about. Surveys. Dude, okay. I actually started this year a calendar to record every survey we've sent, everything from someone sending a survey about what Sonic drink you like, to our cafeteria messaging, to do we want to start something like a computer science academy? And I showed this to administrators, and there are weeks where we are sending maybe 30 to 40 surveys to our constituents, either our students, our teachers, or our parents. And it's something that has to change. So it might be interesting data collection for you to do is look into how often and how many times you're surveying the public and what questions you're asking. Did this department already ask this? And you really need to get it aligned. Or do you already have the data collected? How are you sharing it? And how often are you pinging people to ask? Flyers, we use PeachJar and do all electronic flyers. What's great is I partner with our Pupil Services Secretary. She handles any external requests for people who want to post flyers at community events, and I do internal. I even created something called a flyer design request form for our staff because a lot of our flyers were going out with typos. They were going out with poor writing. They were going out with incorrect or incomplete information. Excuse me, and people would come to me with questions I couldn't answer because I was involved in creating the flyer. So if they give me enough time and they give me all of the information, I'll create the flyer for them. One, it helps me know what's going on, so I have all the questions to answer, and I think 3 steps ahead for what questions they might ask. And then I also have the ability to brand it. Is that this is our branding. Here's some colors we use. Here's the images we use. I'm not using clip art that still says Shutterstock across the top of it. So it really has helped us in terms of communicating that to other people. Watching purposefully. Monitoring is another word for what we do a lot of, and what I've learned I have to spend a significant part of some days doing. Again, I'm going to bring up Boolean searching, doing your searches. I spend time on Facebook primarily because that's where our audience is, where I search our school district name. I search the names of our schools. So people who don't have their settings as tight as they may should on Facebook, I can find stories that may have otherwise, or problems that have come up that otherwise are not an issue for some. And so if I find something that it's a parent who's saying, oh, this is horrible, something's going on, I take a screenshot of it, I send it to the principal, so then the principal's aware of it, can reach out to that parent. But I do spend a lot of time, or if a post comes up in one of those rant and rave groups, I turn on the notifications so I'm getting the messaging to find out when somebody new is saying something in those groups. Monitoring emails from buildings. With 10 schools, I found it manageable. I am on the distribution list for every building, so I get every email sent to the entire staff or just the teachers in every building. I do spend a lot of time just delete, and take it, you know, and don't have to do anything about it. But there are several things where I'm learning what's going on. I'm getting a sense of the culture and the climate that it really helped me learn a lot about the buildings as well. News, that's always something we all want to do. The tip lines, we have a tip line on our app. We have one on our main page of our website. And then we have one called Sprigio, which is for bullying. And while I don't get those messages, our staff members do. But if you don't have some kind of tip line, it's really valuable for you to be able to get an idea of what's going on in your building. Another school district has one, that tip line actually saved a student's life. We haven't had anything to that degree, but, we have had somebody who said, hey, I can't get a hold of anybody in HR and I'm trying to do a background check. How do I reach them? So it's a way to make that connection with your community by having it available. And then monitoring the climate and culture. We have learning walks that our administrators do and our instructional coaches do, and I make sure I try to go on those learning walks with them as much as I can because I really can get an idea of the climate and culture. Oh, specific ways to set up a tip line. Ours is actually with Blackboard, our service provider. We have their app, and so the app gives us an embed code to be able to put it on our website as well. So you might check with your providers of your messaging if they have something similar. Okay, weathering storms. Silence. Sometimes you just don't say anything, but that is doing something. You want to make sure that that's how, when on Facebook, a lot of times you want to chime in, even when it's on your page. But what's exciting to me is sometimes you see other parents and other community members become those advocates for you. But sometimes you just don't say anything. Statements. I have a draft folder at the ready. If we have something we need to send and it's maybe an ambulance arrived and had to take, we had one where I had to take a teacher and some of the kids saw, so it was messaging. And so I had that written. Well, a similar thing happened in another building, so I just had to rework it, fill in the blanks. It's kind of like Mad Libs, I call it, because you just fill in the blanks with what's different, but you have the template there ready for you. Suggestions, sometimes you're just offering advice to people, internal, external, and sometimes you're offering support. Make sure everyone in your district has your cell phone number. Be available. But you also want to be the devil's advocate. You're thinking 3 hours ahead, 3 days ahead, 3 months ahead. If what they're trying to do is something that could cause a problem later, you need to make sure that you are the one tossing that idea out there. Be the cheerleader, be the shoulder, and be dependable. Your well-being, that's my girls in the background, of course. Unplug. I actually have been known when I take days off where I know I do not want to be contacted from school, I delete my email account from my phone. I'm not deleting my email. I just take my work email account and I remove it from my phone because then I'm really unplugged and involved in who I'm with and where I am. And then because as my superintendent says, he goes, if it's an emergency, they'll call. If it's really an emergency, they'll call back. So that's kind of the mantra I've taken on as well, is that if it's mission critical, that's what's going to happen. So I probably should look at my phone, shouldn't I? Take a vacation. That's why we get them. And also, I learned this from Stephanie Smith, who's on there. You want to have your protocols in place. You need to make sure the office knows how to run, even if you're a one-person shop. Somebody here needs to know how to do what I do if there were an emergency. And I'll be honest, that's something I really didn't even think about. I had to work on that to make sure someone else knows how to do it. And then finally, connect. How to connect with your staff. And you want to help them help you. We have face-to-face. We have advisory teams that meet quarterly, and we get information from them, and they get information from us, and it's a great way to connect. We rotate staff every 2 years. There's 2 from every building, and coffee and conversations is a great way for them to meet with our administrator or superintendents twice a year. Professional development. Anytime you have an opportunity to present in front of the staff, do it. Share it, because that's where you can have the biggest impact and make your face-to-face relationships grow. We actually have a secret Facebook group and for our staff, so they can ask questions, answers, and it's not necessarily me who generates it. It can be anyone can share, hey, I'm having trouble with this in SIS. Hey, I'm struggling with this in Canvas. Does anybody know why this happened? And then every once in a while, I have contests. So, hey, have you friended any new staff members? Add them to the group. But also, it's something here where I can get support. This screenshot here is we had 5 snow days in a row, and then we had a PD day, and we had President's Day, and I'm like, guys, I'm worried about our kids. We have 55% free and reduced. Several of our kids probably haven't eaten much, if at all, since the last Thursday. And so, we banded together. We ended up with 4 carloads, and we had food from our foundation we took around. We looked up their addresses and SIS, and we went out and delivered food to these families. And it was great being able to have that opportunity to connect with them and being able to reach our teachers who all of them wanted to help.
That's awesome. Melissa, we got to wrap up in about 5 minutes, so just
Yes.
just to let
All
you know.
right. Yep, we're getting there. The internal newsletter. This is the biggest piece where I have critical information I share with all staff. We don't send out an email about anything anymore unless it goes through me. You can't email the whole staff. It gets put in our once weekly newsletter, which has everything from critical information about our district initiatives and support. It has coupons, it has dates and remember, and all the back issues are kept on our website for people to refer to later with Cliff's Notes. So then they could just search, oh, I wonder where that Sprint Center discount was. They keyword search, they'll be able to find it, and they have it, and it's housed on our website. Our hashtag, consider using a hashtag to connect you with all of your staff members in your community, but the recommendation I would make is use the website called #@it. I don't know if it's .com or anything, but #@it, and see if the one you're using is going to, is already in use, which can be a big problem. You want to make sure that it's not something already in use and it's one that's unique to your district. Consider going to your buildings and doing a social media takeover day where everything you do to learn about that building is a great idea, and post about it on all of your social media accounts. And then you want to connect with the community. Make sure you're checking with newspapers and what they're wanting from you. I learned one of ours, all he wants is cut lines and pictures. He doesn't have time to do anything else. In social media, look at your analytics. I learned that most of our community really enjoys when I post something simple about why the flag is at half-staff. Your mailings and e-publications, make sure you're going to get a return on your investment with whatever you decide to invest your money in, and time. Your advisory meetings, make sure that you are conducting some form of these. We do them quarterly with all of the different groups mentioned here, community, students, realtors, minorities, parents of alumni. All of those constituents can really help you through it. And then be a part of the civic organizations in your community. That can really help you get connected as well. And then school PR, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention MOSPRA, NSPRA. I'm really excited about the new community forum for NSPRA, and MOSPRA has a Facebook group where we can always share ideas. And then our hashtag K12 PR chat is a great way to connect with people and get connected. This group, I've listed all the hashtags here. The XXs after it are just the different years that you can stay in touch and see what's going on. But it's a great way to learn and to grow and make connections that truly do count. So if you are in a crisis, it's how you can reach out to them. The podcast, I do, one I can really promote that I liked lately is a podcast for creatives by Steve King, who's a school PR guy out of New York. And all of these listed here. SMC's out of Australia has some great ones. Hacking Leadership is Joe Sanfilippo and Tony Sinanis again. Education Talk Radio is a great one. Again, it's from doing those searches of school PR, school communications. These are ones that have popped up. And then finally, make sure you connect with yourself. Some days, that's definitely the way we look. So Chris and Michelle gave me this advice to stop chasing squirrels. Make sure you find out your superintendent's 3 priorities. How can you be sure what you're doing will help make him and her successful and support those goals? And then write it all down, be accountable for it, and let the rest go. Strategic abandonment. You can't do it all, like me, thinking I could get through all these slides in that amount of time. Okay. Figure out data. What's working well, what might need tweaking, and what needs to be left in the past. But here's my warning. Traditions can trump it all. Be familiar enough with what in your district might be an untouchable. Then get organized. Have canned responses in your email. Print things to file. Have labels, folders, name things. I can't tell you how many things I have labeled IMG for my images, and I'm dreading that. I need to go back and fix that so I know what pictures are and where I can get them. Paper rules. A piece of paper does not enter my office without a purpose or a place it's going to go. It's the only way I can stay organized. Out with the old, can you digitize stuff that you have? Like we have old copies of newsletters we used to send out. I'm going to have all of those digitized. There's no reason why I have folders of that paper. The photos, I keep them all, and they're actually organized in folders. So I have like 15, 16 for each building, and then each folder is organized in there. But I do keep all of those folders because they're great for Throwback Thursday posts. And then, of course, whiteboards and Google Keep. So finally, think and breathe before you do anything. anything, stop, think, breathe, and connect.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
That was awesome, and
That was crash course there at the end. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, well, it was, and we're gonna. I know we're right up against noon, so if you have to jump off, that's fine. If you can stay on, we're gonna, Melissa's gonna be able to answer more questions. I'm gonna make sure that she is unmuted so you can get in here. Sorry, I've got to grab this. But this is my kind of naive, because I'm just like, about, making connections that count. There's so many connections you have to make internally to be successful, and that is really, really key. So, Melissa, I know you mentioned a lot of things. We're going to make sure if we can give links to some of those apps and podcasts.
Absolutely.
We're going to try to give that all to you. Some questions here for you, Melissa. What do you think about cross-posting with Twitter and Facebook?
Oh, can you hear me? Is my sound on? Okay, I was writing kind of some responses at the same time. The cross-posting, I don't do that. I don't use, like a lot of people use Hootsuite or some of those. Our audiences are completely different. Facebook is our community, some kids, mostly parents, where Twitter is mostly our news organizations, high school kids, coaches, and other school districts. And so if I were to put the same message there, it's totally different. I kind of have a different quote unquote voice, where my voice on Facebook would be one way and my voice on Twitter would be different because of the audiences. So even though the theme of the message might be the same, the content and the language might be completely different. The image might be completely different. So that's what I do there.
Okay, and then my client is a nonprofit early learning center, kind of disconnected from the larger school district. What would you suggest as an attention-grabbing way of social media strategy?
And that's where I put show them the kids. Somebody mentioned Jerry Maguire earlier. You got to show them the kids. They want to see the love. They want to see what's happening. That's the easiest one. Our early childhood center actually has recently started to do a lot of kid interviews where the kids are saying, one they recently did was the kids wanted to know what the school's favorite color was. Of course, that's something a 3 or 4 year old's going to ask. What's everybody's favorite color? So they did a survey, and then the actual interviewer got on and said, I did a survey on what our school's favorite color was. And she even walked them through the process of what she did to answer. But it was great because it was just a video that they loaded, and it got a lot of traction to be able to do. Oh, yes. Teacher Appreciation Week is a great way to get engagement. Yes.
Yeah, and I think, a big thing that we always preach is just that consistency of social media so that you get to be relied on as a source of those stories and those moments.
Absolutely.
But pictures and close-up pictures of kids, those are always going to do the best. I'll just, second, Melissa and I are actually going to be presenting together at the INSPRA event in California. So we're going to Anaheim, and we'll probably be wearing some Mickey ears, but that's happening in July. What an incredible way to really get connected. Online is awesome, but when you get to meet people face to face, and that's a great place that I go to get educated from all these awesome leaders. And so INSPRA, hashtag K12PR chat. One of our new favorite podcasts soon is going to be, again, another summer camp person from last year, Shane Haggerty. He is launching a podcast soon. So there's just so many resources out there. And so I'm really excited. And, sometimes we like to make things fun. We always like to make things fun, right, Melissa?
Yes.
Because we make our summer camp event super interactive. So even though it's online and it's 2 days, but it's 2 days to focus on social media communication for your school district. And I have already started getting door prizes. So I do door prizes throughout the 2 days to make it fun. So I've got this awesome Uno emoji, which is going to be really great. And then I even have a oven mitt like a Facebook light. So somebody's going to be winning that. Might as well be you, but
I'll fight you for it.
We'd love to have you there. We had over 100 attendees last year. We've already got over 100 registered, and they're from all over the country. Of course, we've got Missouri, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, New York, New Jersey, Idaho, Kansas, Arkansas, up in Canada, Florida. So you're going to be among friends. So I just want to really invite you there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today.
Can I say a quick endorsement too on that in Anaheim is we spend thousands of dollars on teacher professional development every year. Make sure that you get a piece of that pie. Is your professional learning is just as valuable as a teacher's professional learning. So talk to who you need to talk to, get that budget worked out. And if you can't attend Anaheim, I know that's expensive, then something like Andrea's seminar, that's professional development. It's not like a general part of your budget. It is professional development for you. So there might even be a different pot of money that you can talk to someone in your offices to see about participating, because it is well worth it.
Yeah, we even have some people that are going to get credits for the time that they spend in social media summer camp, because we've got a guide that goes with it, a workbook, we've got recorded materials and all of that. And so that's really exciting that they're going to be able to get their CEUs or whatever they need. And so if you need something for that, I can help provide it. But I love it. Thank you so much, Melissa, for packing so much.
Thank you. And anybody who wants more details, I didn't get to spend much time on our internal newsletter. I know that's kind of been a topic we've talked about on Twitter. Any more details about any of this, reach out to me and I'm happy to share.
Yes, awesome. And we'll try to get as many details in the follow-up email that we can. You guys have a great rest of your week, a great rest of the school year. It's always a different kind of busy, so I know this summer it's going to be crazy with making plans for next year, but I just kind of want to end with how important it's Teacher Appreciation Week. And I guess, I don't know if there's a School Communications Appreciation Week. There probably isn't officially, but there should be, because you guys make such a huge difference in your school district. Without your storytelling, without your connections, our schools would be in trouble. And so I just want to thank you for what you do for our schools on behalf of a parent and all of that. You're making a difference. So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
All right. And thank you, Melissa. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.